Joining us now for stories trending around the world today is Ojy Okpe. Good morning.
Good morning, Leila. How are you?
How's your
weekend?
Good.
Hi, Dr. Abati.
How's your
Good.
weekend? So you
I told
haven't greeted
Ojy
me
this
properly.
morning
All
she's
right.
super mom.
How are you?
I'm good.
Great. Yes, I was a super
I'm starting
mom.
to love watching Ojy's daughter play
I'm
tennis
going-
on weekends. I swear, I told her. I'm like, you're actually
She's
super
your
mom.
new Serena, right?
I know.
Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending today in Nigeria. The governor of Rivers State, Wike, has now declared his respect for traditional rulers barely 2 weeks after he insulted them at a meeting he summoned in the state. The governor made this declaration at the installation of a former Minister of Transport, Dr. Abiye Sekibo, over the weekend. The governor stated that he has great respect for the traditional rulers because they are critical to the development of the state, but insisted that some politicians played politics with traditional institutions. Clarifying his remarks at the meeting where he was believed to have insulted the monarchs, Wike said he only asked them to carry their staff of office to prove they are not second-class citizens. Well, great. It's nice that he said that.
I think Governor Wike doesn't go far enough. He owes the traditional rulers an apology.
Yes, I think
And,
so too.
you know, the video went viral, and we all saw it. So he cannot revise and, compel us to, change the evidence that was before us. I mean, you recall that in that video, he pointed at one particular traditional ruler and told him that, look, he was our boy. When I was in university, we used to send him on errands up and down. And now, because you have put Madam Fodio on your head.
Osman can
Because you have put it on your head. He tongue-lashed that particular traditional ruler.
The
So
man sat there frozen.
he owes that.
I thought the screen was frozen. He was that frozen.
He owes that particular guy an apology.
All of them.
it's
I
not
think it
about-
was each and every one of them he asked to bring their staff of
And then he asked the traditional rulers, some of them, have been on that
stand up.
stool before he even left secondary school, and he asked them to stand up and show your staffs of office. But
It's so
however,
distasteful.
it's good that he has realized his mistake.
Yes.
Because the traditional rulers also represent an institution.
Oh, that's the
they
guy.
represent the people. Yes, that's the one that had what he called with Madame Fodio on his head. So I think that he should apologize to them. And he must realize that he needs to work together with these traditional rulers to be able to move the state forward.
Honestly.
And congratulations to Dr. Sekibo,
Correct.
who has now been made the head of a royal house in his community.
Yes, very well said, Dr. Abati.
I mean, it was so distasteful for him to go about it in the way that he did. I could not believe it. I mean, what kind of leadership example is that? No, it was wrong. It was
Well,
so
I think
wrong.
he's learned his lesson. I think he got a lot of people talk about
The
it
guy is actually
over
frozen.
social media.
I thought,
Even
the guy could not
Mortified.
believe it. So I thought the screen was frozen because he was that frozen.
But for me, generally in life, the rule is the apology needs to be as loud as the disrespect.
Exactly.
This was seen all over the world. Went back. Look at this poor gentleman. On the spot.
I don't think this is an apology.
Yes,
Whatever he's
he
just
needs to
done, I think that he
apologize.
does.
And
Publicly.
Exactly.
Yes.
To them themselves,
Yes.
especially that man.
That's the
because
only
that was
thing to
terrible.
do.
Well, still in Nigeria, I believe we have discussed the story at length, right? The General Overseer of the Redeemed Church of God, Enoch Aboye, in a now viral video, is seen protesting with some members of his church in a fight against insecurity and insurgency in the country. At a sermon he delivered that was held over the weekend, the pastor said, "Every soul lost to insurgency is precious to God." I don't know if we have a sort of this, but basically I think this is a great way of, demonstrating your religion, really. I think he, also talked about Muslims as well as Christians are very, it's very...
We're all vulnerable right
yes,
now,
at this point.
It's this danger that we spoke about not even understanding how dangerous a religious war is and how you don't even want to go there, you know? So it's good to see that religious leaders are actually coming and speaking up and now, not just for their own faith and belief, but for people that follow religion as a whole, because everyone is vulnerable to this.
Correct. All right, well, let's head over now to the UK with news under entertainment. The 73rd British Academy Film Awards BAFTA was held last night at the Royal Albert Hall in London. Gut-wrenching World War I epic 1917 was the ceremony's big winner, bagging in 7 awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. However, the hot topic of conversation at the awards ceremony was diversity. Actor Joaquin Phoenix, while picking up his Best Actor award for the movie Joker, expresses dissatisfaction at the lack of diversity.
I feel very honored and privileged to be here tonight. BAFTAs have always been very supportive of my career, and I'm deeply appreciative. But I have to say that I also feel conflicted because so many of my fellow actors that are deserving don't have that same privilege. I think that we send a very clear message to people of color that you're not welcome here. This is not a self-righteous condemnation because I'm ashamed to say that I'm part of the problem. I have not done everything in my power to ensure that the sets I work on are inclusive, but I think that it's more than just having sets that are multicultural. I think that we have to really do the hard work to truly understand systemic racism.
I mean, this was completely incredible.
It had to be said.
Out there.
Well done, Joaquin Phoenix.
I think he did very well, and it's nice to see him not in character with makeup as the Joker.
As the Joker.
But again, I mean, I was rooting for the Joker that got up to about 11 nominations. But the major complaint about that film is too much violence and, the dark humor that is in it. But as for the issue of diversity, yes, this is always the issue, either with the Oscars or with the BAFTA.
Yes.
The neglect of persons of color and also women. He talked about persons of color. But also, if you look at the nominations, it was as if it's an all-male affair. And I think all of this will continue to come up, either you're talking about fashion or television or film, or particularly in fashion. You know that that was a big argument about diversity. And there's been some good response in the fashion industry. But we hope that later for these awards, either BAFTA or the Oscars, we'll see more diversity to appreciate talent on a broad basis, on a broader basis.
The Duke of Cambridge also came out to speak on this, didn't he?
He's the president of the BAFTAs. Yes,
Honestly.
he talked about the fact that the criticism that had been levied amongst the people, as well as the organizers of the awards ceremony, was completely appalling, and he was very apologetic about it. And he talked about the fact that he's going to, continue to make sure that everyone is all part of the whole ceremony.
And that the awards become more inclusive and more reflective.
Devil's advocate here. These are not my views, but what do you say to the opinions of certain people who say it's about the merits, that the work of these people just wasn't up to par?
What I would say to people like that is we live in a world where, look, I have the quote from the Duke here himself where he said, it simply cannot be right in this day and age, right? We live in a world where we have to ensure across all sectors, public and private, no matter what the case is, that we have certain targets, some people like to call them quotas, that we ensure we're achieving. The world is too intersectionally, systemically oppressed for us not to do that. We have to have targets, and we have to be able to say that, you know what, relative to everything, we have to have X amounts of women, X amounts of people of color. I even hate that term, and I think it's been so heavily politicized. X amounts of XYZ, and that is the way we need to go about looking at what we do in society today, because I don't know how we can just assume that we can categorize that. It's such a bubble, and it continues to happen.
I don't think we can have a quota in that way, but I do resent the exclusion of, I don't know, someone like Cynthia Erivo for Harriet Tubman. How can you exclude that performance?
But then that's when I say quotas, because that's the only way you can force them.
You don't need to have a quota, though, but her work stands on its own.
Yeah.
I think that there's a deliberate blindness to the work of certain people. Like that movie, Queen and Slim, the director said it was never even considered. Or this is a predominantly black movie. Next. That, for me, is what I resent.
I think the concern is about race and prejudice, and also the fact that, if you look at the creative industry anywhere, there's this diversity of talent that goes beyond gender, race, or your own prejudice, as it were. And when these awards come up, they do not reflect the reality.
Yeah.
You just cited the case of Cynthia
I
Erivo.
mean, that was an incredible.
So that's where the problem is.
And that just goes to
We
show.
hope the organizers will take the good feedback in good faith.
Though. That's the thing.
Yes,
they won't.
That's what is important.
No, I think no, they never do. I mean, this is not the first time. We saw so white
And
for
it
a
was
while now.
boycotted.
Thank you.
And then it happened again.
Yes,
And let's
yes.
even discuss the kinds of awards that are given. When
Right.
black actors win an Oscar award, look at Denzel Washington, just as an example. His amazing body
My
of
favorite
work.
actor of all time.
I mean, he's the
Goodness,
best.
honestly.
He was given an Oscar for Training Day, and a lot of people resented that he was never given awards when he was playing uplifting roles.
Thank you.
It's only when he played this drug dealer. Look at Halle Berry when she won the Oscar. What was the part that she played? What's her name? The Kenyan beautiful lady. The Kenyan lady.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Nyong'o.
When she won the Oscars,
She played a
yes.
slave that they like to pigeonhole black people in particular roles.
Absolutely
And
right.
that cannot be
They're
ignored.
just
That's
exposing
a fact.
themselves. They expose how
Yes.
uneducated they are, and it goes to show, because these are the things that we need to look at. It's not just about saying, okay, we need to actually revise and say that we have a problem here. It's about the fact that they don't even see that when they even do give awards, they go based off their own self-created stereotypes that reinforce how unintelligent they really are.
But I think the conversation will continue, whatever happens, until the critics see the change that they are looking for. Ojy, any more stories? We have just a minute to go.
We have a minute to go. I don't know if we'll have enough time for the story. We had a story about, we also had the video of the Duke. If you have that, we can pull that up so that we can see that. I think that would be much better than doing a whole story on...
The video of the Duke
the video of the
Cambridge
Duke of
at
Cambridge. It's
BAFTA.
right after that. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. Catherine and I are once again really delighted to join you all this evening. Tonight we celebrate another year of exceptional filmmaking, and I'm thrilled that all those involved have been recognised. I'm particularly proud to stand here tonight, having served as BAFTA's president for the last 10 years. However, I must admit, I don't know whether I should be proud or slightly alarmed about the number of winners over the last decade who have betrayed members of my own family. Both here in the UK and in many other countries across the world, we are lucky to have incredible filmmakers.
Very good. The prince that stayed behind.
Now, the future
Well, he had no choice. Exactly.